the 20th century inherited from the Enlightenment. We've been talking about, for example, the idea of a two-level theory that postulates a manifest image of things more or less as they appear to us, and then some scientific image, an underlying hidden level, which actually explains the behavior of things at the manifest level. So our idea was, well, a lot of theories have this basic shape. They say that the objects of the manifest image of everyday life, the things that we ordinarily experience, including ourselves, are actually in some sense fiction. Everything that goes on at that level is really determined by something happening at another hidden level. What that hidden level is may vary. According to Enlightenment materialism, it's really just the realm of microparticles that are governed by physical law.
According to Enlightenment materialism, so the reason why the 1848 revolutions failed was because the intellectual class couldn't get the working class to understand their pithy bourgeoisie, pie-in-the-sky bullshit isms. Postmodernism is postmodernism. Okay, so you have Atlas Society. In the very beginning, I'm going to define postmodernism, and frankly, the Enlightenment was postmodernist at one point in time. But the Atlas Society, they're going to say a bunch of shit. They're going to say that your today's postmodernist was your yesterday Marxist. Well, Karl Marx, I like Karl Marx, but to be a Marxist means that you worship Karl Marx at the altar of, So, I've never been a Marxist. I like Karl Marx. He's a lot better than the government communist. He was just an author. He was an economist. He just wrote books. Why are so many people afraid of a writer? He wrote a book. He had an economic theory. So he's not like, a Stalin or even a Lenin or, a lot of these communists, Fidel Castro, because he never actually had government power, and so he's got no blood on his hands. No government blood, no government repression. So Atlas Society, just like this guy, these people, Daniel Bonavac, they go ahead and they paint up a scarecrow. They paint up a straw man. And the scarecrow, the straw man is this postmodernist is bad. And, in some respects, I think postmodernist is cool. And so maybe that's why I think of myself as a postmodernist. But in some respects, we're all postmodernists.
According to evolutionary theory, it's really something at the level of, random mutation, natural selection. Ultimately, that gets unified with genetic theory and so becomes a sort of modern evolutionary biology. There are versions that are, for example, Freudian psychology, suggesting that there's something at the subconscious level that's driving everything. Then there are other versions. In late Nietzsche, there is this idea of the will to power, and so on and so forth. Well, by the 1960s, this had turned into structuralism and post-structuralism. Structuralism is the idea that really things are determined by social structures. The idea here originates in Marx, when he talks about economic classes. For Marx, it's really
economic classes. Okay, so he is just going a deep dive into an academic, and you can get some of it, but I just read so many damn books, and they're all doing the same shit. They're coming up with a scarecrow. They're saying that postmodernist is bad. And it's, all these buzzwords of yesterday, it's Marxism, it's communism, it's whatever. So it's a straw man, right? So I'm like reading all this shit and it's just like, God, somebody needs to define what postmodern is. So let's start out. Postmodern. Postmodern, is it anti-enlightenment? I think it's the continuation of the Enlightenment and the transformation of the Enlightenment. It's the Enlightenment 2.0. Postmodernism is the Enlightenment 2.0. If we're smart about it, it could turn into some, a dark ages. Our time could be a dark ages, a time when you just forget about that time. That time don't even matter. No, that period of time, no, just forget about that period of time. So to me, we are all postmodernists because we all live in the millennium and we live in the internet, the information age. The internet comes about becomes popular in the late 1900s, 1990s, and the internet is the Gutenberg printing press revolution times a billion. And so it's the brand new millennium, right? So you got the 1000s and the 2000s. Now we got the internet. Now we got the Gutenberg printing press revolution times 8 billion. Times 8 billion. So to me, we're in a postmodern generation because we are at an unprecedented level, unprecedented spot when it comes to the information that, so we're definitely in the information age, but also the subsequent technological revolution. Everything is, advancing at an exponential rate, and I welcome it. And so maybe that's another reason why I, myself am a postmodernist, but we're all postmodernists in the sense that we're all living in this millennium. Are you living in this millennium? No? Are you of this planet? No, you're not. You're not of Earth. You're out of this world, huh? You're universal. You're out of this world, out of this time. You're not of this era. You're not of this place or time. You're just your own unique, timeless spiritual being. I gotta call bullshit on that. So the internet, 1990s, Gutenberg printing press revolution, technological progress, everything. I mean, when it comes to automobiles, when it comes to toilets, when it comes to pick a damn industry, apples, I guarantee you there's like some, there's now, you got computer microchips in tennis shoes, so tennis shoes, they can like weigh out, so there's just every goddamn thing. And so the reason why that's important is because, and eventually we'll get to a point in time when I guess we will settle on what, like the MP3 players were cool, but they had all those wires. And so now, wireless earbuds are the way to go. So eventually we got to settle and say, this is the technology we want. These are the hula hoops. This is the pogs. This is the shit that we don't give a fuck about, but this is the stuff that we think are important. These are the things that, and so, to me, postmodern, we're all postmodern because we're all a part of the information age. We're all part of this time period, this era. We're all planet Earth. So, if somehow you're not, maybe if you're in the Amazon jungle and you're the internet somehow, but I just feel like even then, I mean, maybe they see more, transistor trash, I don't know, the more lithium mine diggers. So that's the definition, to me, what postmodernism, we're in a postmodern society. Will they call us postmodern? Maybe not, probably not. And ultimately, because we, just like anything else, it's always in flux. Just look at all the eras in the past. Okay, so you want to think that history, we're progressing. We go towards the future. But the Enlightenment was the 1700s. And then we went on to a different era after the Enlightenment. What else could there be after the Enlightenment? Then it would be the Superman era, right? We're all enlightened, and now we're going to have, we're going to push science and technology and rationality, geometry, physics, mathematics. We're going to maximize our scientific and technological potential. We're going to push our, logical, we could do, look at the system of the world, right? Newton, we can learn about the world, and so therefore we can change the world, we can make the world how we want it. And so how do we want the world to be? So when the Atlas Society says that it's just pissing and shitting on the Enlightenment ideals, I love the Enlightenment. I think we should hold on to the Enlightenment because reason and science and logic, it's all we got. And so, we need to hold on to all that we got, but I think we can also build on what we got. And so, I consider myself a postmodernist. And, I think we all are one because we're all, here today, right now, experiencing this life. But maybe I am, specifically a postmodernist because I like it. I think it's cool. I also, welcome the change. I embrace the change. And when people talk about, they want to try to do these straw man arguments, they want to talk about Foucault. Michael Foucault comes out, or Fouquet, or Foucault, or, I don't know, Michel, some French philosopher fuck. And then Jacques Derrida, there's just these two fucking guys, and he was a rock star. I think they both were rock stars in their day and age. They both are dead now. But they were kind of recent philosophers. Derrida was big about deconstruction, which is just a load of horse shit. Basically, deconstructionist is a person that says, okay, you don't know what you're talking about. And they'll deconstruct everything that you're saying, but they don't have an alternative. They're just, they're just demolishers. They're just tearing everything down, tearing all these buildings down and saying, see, there's no civilization without realizing that they're the ones tearing the building down. And then they don't have an alternative. Okay, all right, Derrida, everything's demolished. Everything's been deconstructed, right? Ground zero. Now what? And Derrida will be like, oh, shit. Well, now we go to step 2. You never planned for step 2? Huh? You never came? Step 2. So I think that Derrida, Foucault, whoever the fuck those guys are, and I'm kind of, fucking up their names intentionally, but it's just to show you that fuck them because they lean on them too much, they use them too much. I don't give a goddamn fuck about them. I do not consider myself a postmodernist because of anything that they've ever fucking said or done. There was one thing Foucault said that was interesting. He had said that go back in the past to see if you can learn how to do something today better, some shit like that. And so that's, an interesting idea. He questioned power. He says that language is competition, and it's all about power for Foucault. So there's some interesting thing, but that's just shit I just learned. Derrida, being a deconstructionist, I just feel like you probably should deconstruct it all, periodically, and then rebuild anew, like maybe once a year. But eventually, you gotta let the tree grow. If you keep on digging the tree up, it'll never, a tree transplanted many times bears little fruit. So I think there's, room for deconstruction, but I think he coined the word and just, profited, just grifted off that word, and he said some cool shit. I've seen a couple decent quotes, but yeah, they're not like intellectual heroes of mine. I don't go looking for any Derrida or Foucault. If anything, I would say that Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and Bill Gates, because they dropped out of college and were successful and did made their money in the technological industries, they are more postmodern, speak for the postmodern generation than anybody else. I would even say Cardi B and Lil Wayne, even Jimmy Dore, anybody that's speaking today is the voice of postmodernists because, that's the era that we're in. They might, say something else, but maybe the Gilded Era might be a bigger thing. But postmodern, to me, it's just you got the past, you got the present, you got the future. And so the past is, it's yesterday, it's nostalgia, it's tradition, it's the old. But then you have modern, the present, now, today, current. And then you got tomorrow, the future, postmodern. And so that's what this era is that we are going out of an era into a brand new era. And so I guess I'll just make this one last point, that at one point in time, the Enlightenment itself was postmodern. So you're going to sit there and say that they're trying, no, the Enlightenment itself was postmodern. Before you had the Renaissance, right? To be a modern person meant that you were of the Renaissance. And the Enlightenment, oh, that's too far. That's postmodern. No, we're just going to stick with the Renaissance. So the Renaissance is this explosion of culture, and then the Enlightenment is when, like, oh, okay, now we see the light. And that's just the way history works. That's just how life works. So just rewind 100 years ago when we had the automobile when we had the radio. So we have an automobile, and we got a radio, and we got, you know, all this new shit, democracy and elections and constitutions and whatnot. That shifted us from one era to another era, from modernity to whatever, right? From the Stone Ages, from the Bronze Ice Age, from the Middle Dark Age into some Renaissance Enlightenment era. I feel like it's only the Enlightenment and then the Enlightenment 2. That's the only direction these eras can go. And so there's the Romantic era, which is like, what the fuck is that supposed to mean? We haven't maximized our science and technology, so to be like, oh shit, we're just so, America is such a scientific society. There's just no room for any romantic spirituality. No, it's all romantic, superficial spirituality, and there's no real science or rationality behind any of it. We went straight to the Romantic era. We didn't really, we got to sit on the Enlightenment is where it's at. The Enlightenment is ground zero for knowledge and knowing where, you know, what the fuck is life about and what is society and government and how should we, you know. So I'm not here to destroy the Enlightenment. I very much feel as though I will hold on to the Enlightenment until I die. I do get more conservative as I get older, so you probably shouldn't trust anybody over 30 years of age. It's what I believed when I was under 30. It doesn't. Anyways, so to me, the postmodern doesn't mean that you're anti-Enlightenment. At one point in time, the Enlightenment was postmodern. I think it's just the turn of history, right? You can sometimes you want to go back to the old traditional past. You got a nostalgia for yesterday, but then you also want to be modern. Hey, I'm modern, you know, in the present now, today. I'm current, you know, what's going on. I'm current. I'm all current. No. I know the current events. I know the. But then also, you know, there's trend setters. There's the people that are the change makers. And so I think that the change is inevitable. And I think that we're in a period of exponential change if you're paying attention. And so, I don't know. I think that we probably have another, probably 50 years, right? So we'll have another 30 years of just exponential change. And we'll keep on evolving and we'll keep on getting better. And then eventually, you know, say 2050, we'll just have iPods have been around forever, and we got, you know, we've already got used to a certain way of life, and these are the ways we want to listen to music. This is the way that we want to live our life. So we've thrown all the bad gadgets and, you know, hula hoops and pogs away, and we've grabbed on to the things, you know, garage door openers and, you know, whatever, car starters and Bluetooth and sound and music and Linux, whatever, you know, so just whatever works. And there, you know, there's conservative thought that works too, right? So government is hierarchy and it's an oppressive institution, but when it wants justice, then it can get justice. And until your anarchist society can get justice, I'm not for sure if, I mean, humans, you should be skeptical of humans, right? Any human that says that they're the mayor or that they are the government, that's an oppressor, and so therefore you should be skeptical of those, you know, people in power. So to recap, am I a postmodernist? Yeah, I am a postmodernist. I embrace it. I like it because I'm ready for change, but we all are postmodernists because do you live in 2021? Do you live in the United States of America? Are you living on planet Earth? Are you of this world, of this people? Are you? And so, you know, I'm also a socialist. I'm also an anarchist. I'm also anti-fascist. I'm also a humanist. I'm also a Coloradan American. So I'm a postmodernist by choice, but also I'm a postmodernist because I'm in this era that, I believe that history will define as being in front of the 90s, in front of, I think we just keep on getting, we got electric cars now and shit, so, yeah, we're going to keep on getting, technology and science is going to keep on improving and getting better and better. Hopefully our hearts and our spirits, our hearts and our minds evolve as fast as our technology does. Probably not, right? Probably not. So to recap, Atlas Society, this guy, they want to sit there and paint up scarecrows and say postmodernists are this and that, and they listen to Dorito and Foucault, and they're the devil, and they're, but they're actually, these people are kind of telling on themselves because they're saying they don't want to see the future. They don't want to see tomorrow happen. They don't want to see, they don't want to admit that we're in an information age. We're in the age of tomorrow. We're in the age of the future right now with the information age. They don't want to admit that. They just, I like the way yesterday, our troubles seem so far away. I believe in yesterday. So it's a brand new millennium. We got the information age. It's, I welcome the technological, scientific progress, all the different changes. Cardi B and Lil Wayne, just because they're rappers and they're speaking and they're speaking, they're the voice of postmodernists because they're the ones that are speaking the loudest right now and they're getting attention. So anybody getting any attention right now is the voice of what? You talk to somebody today and they listened, you were the voice of postmodernity. You were the voice of, you were a postmodernist today. Now, I'll mention one thing that perhaps it does seem like it keeps coming back up. This guy even mentioned Nietzsche, but ultimately power. The power, Nietzsche's like the last philosopher, right? He says, none of it matters except for power. Power is all that matters. Well, you can get there. You don't need Nietzsche. You don't need Dorito, Foucault, Derrida, or Foucault. Because you can get that through Robert Greene or Machiavelli or William Glasser, or just common sense or observation of humankind. Machiavelli, Robert Greene, William Glasser, William Glasser. So common sense will get you that, the will to power. Also Jack London, the Call of the Wild. So if you look at all the eras, actually, let's look at what are the eras after the Enlightenment. I can't listen to you anymore. Let's see, what are the eras after the Enlightenment? List of time periods. All right, we'll end it off with this. But I did want to mention, I want to talk about postmodernist. So we live in a postmodern period. We live in a postmodern era. I guess it is possible, we could live in the information age and, some people know what's going on, but the other half don't, and then somehow we destroy ourselves. So we're in an information age, and it would just seem that it's the natural progression to go to the Enlightenment era too. It would just be a natural progression to go to the second Enlightenment era. So you're already in the first Enlightenment, so now we're at the second Enlightenment 2.0. We are advancing from the Enlightenment. We're not going to just pretend the Enlightenment didn't happen. Learn your math, right? Actually, let's just learn that right now. What is gravity, the speed of gravity? Excuse me. Says that it's 2.993 times 10 raised to the 8 and 3.003 times 10 raised to the 8 meters per second, somewhere between That's an amazing confirmation of general relativity, terrible difficulty for alternative theories. Jesus Christ, I cannot. Anyways, so 3. Gravity moves at the speed of light. Okay, that's not what I mean. How fast do objects fall to the earth? What does that mean? .8 meters per second. Whew. So I'll get back to all this. Okay, so that's the, let's see, what are the, you got modern history, information age, space age, atomic age, machine age, industrial age, bronze age, renaissance, early modern history, I don't even see where it says enlightenment at. Yeah, okay, Wikipedia. You know, I used to fucking adore and worship Wikipedia. I can't stand it anymore. God, I can't stand Wikipedia. We need to nationalize all this shit. We need American Wikipedia, American Facebook, American TikTok, American everything. God, this nation is kind of fucked. It's not funny. It's sad. We got the progressive era. Oh, we went from the Enlightenment to the progressive. That's good, right? We moved forward, right? But then the Gilded Age, ugh. The Reconstruction era, that was a good one. Let's reconstruct, redo. Let's get a New Deal. There's the New Deal era. The Modern Age, and then there's the Postmodern Age. I wonder what they got to say about the Postmodern Age. And then there's the Chinese periods. There's the Asian periods. The Egyptians, they got their own periods. Everybody's got their own periods. European periods, Indian periods, Japanese periods. There's, of course, the geological time periods, mythological, astrological, Aztec, Greek mythology, of course, the Quark and the Hadron epic and the Planck epic, the Grand Unification epic, the Electric Week epic. So, yeah, the Enlightenment. Atlas Society, you are wrong. Postmodern is not against the Enlightenment. It's the transformation and the continuation, the building of the Enlightenment. There's a lot of things that's keep what's working, throw out what's not. And so there's a lot of shit that works with the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment was basically yesterday, historically, 300 years ago. And it's kind of crazy that for such a long time that people were in the Dark Ages. There were moments of, you know, flourishing of culture and scientific progress and shit. But really, ultimately, the Catholic Church and religion, people were in the Dark Ages up until the 1700s. And so that's fantastic. We can cut history down to 300 years. We don't really know anything but videotape anyways, and so it's all about the power of the idea. Can you dig down deep to 3,000 years? Can you get something from Gilgamesh? Can you get something from King Cyrus? I think so. But ultimately, you would do yourself a world of, you know, service if you started out with Dessalines and Louvetti, Toussaint Louverture, and the Haitian Revolution. That should be your beginning of your awakening, of your enlightenment. A sleeping people can't move, so they need to be woken up, and then you need to be educated, and we can educate ourselves. And yeah, self-education is the most powerful form of education, and so I want to make sure I made all my points. I've defined what postmodern is: the information age, the internet, the Gutenberg printing revolution, printing press revolution times 8 billion. That's how many people is on the planet. The 1990s, you saw the internet, the access to the internet is the access to information. Self-education is the most powerful form of education. And so that we see Elon Musk, we see Bill Gates, we see Steve Jobs, we see Jimmy Dore, you know, using YouTube and using a lot of the... So these are the voice of the postmodern generation because they're the voices that are speaking up right now so-called Dorito that doesn't mean shit to me. The postmodern